Good morning and welcome to another episode of The Beat. I'm your host, Samuel Dehoyos. Today we have a very special guest, Walter Ordoñez from Enlace, a program ran here by Latino Education Institute of Worcester State University. Welcome, Walter. Thanks for being here today.
It's a pleasure.
First off, I just wanted to thank you because you do a great job in the community, and I just wanted to highlight today the great work that you guys do and bring awareness and let the community know the good work that you're doing, and also connect, right? Enlace, you work for the program called Enlace, and Enlace means to connect, right? So I think this is a beautiful thing. We can connect the community with Enlace and Enlace with the community.
I appreciate it.
How you doing today, brother? You good?
I'm doing great, yeah, thank you. Thank you for asking.
Good. First, tell us a little about yourself. Like, where'd you grow up? Where'd you go to school? Stuff like that.
So I'm originally from Marlboro, Massachusetts, Central Mass. So I went to Marlboro High School, lived there my whole life. Went to college in Springfield. I got to wrestle there. So through high school I wrestled, college I got to wrestle for a few years, and I ended up in Worcester, and been living out here since 2019. So that, yeah, now I've been part of the community now for, I'll say 6 years.
Awesome. Well, you're doing a great job in the community. Thanks for. What was? I know you said you grew up in Marlboro, but what is your ethnicity and background when it comes to that? Because again, culture plays a lot. Has a lot to do with how we maneuver and how we engage the community.
Of course. So I come from immigrant parents. I'm Mexican Guatemalan. And in Marlboro, it's a mostly white community. So definitely always felt like an outsider in that community. So coming to Worcester, and Worcester having such a high Latino population, I definitely felt at home, felt like a sense of belonging, where otherwise, in Marlboro, I didn't feel that community or that togetherness that I think Worcester really emphasizes and creates.
Awesome. Did your lived experience influence your decision to work within the community and with young people?
So my goal was never, explicitly to work with young people. I think just a series of events led me here. So because of my wrestling, I love wrestling. There's no really wrestling outside of scholastic wrestling. So once I was done with school, there wasn't really a chance for me to compete anymore. So I wanted to still be involved, and the way I got involved was through coaching. So I was able to coach at Marlboro. I was able to coach at Neshoba Regional High School. I coached at the private school, St. Mark's, and I believe it's in Southborough. And through that connection, I applied to this job just through working with youth. I was like, all right, let's see if I can, take these skills and implement them in a youth program as a facilitator. So really, I was looking for a part-time job. There was hours with this part-time job, and I've been here now for 4 years as a program coordinator now, right? Started as a youth facilitator, and my experience, so working with youth through wrestling, having the leadership qualities to be able to run a practice and show these kids how to, fight adversity, how to fight, the ability, how to believe in themselves, right, on the wrestling mat, because it is a one-person sport rather than a team sport. So all your losses and all your wins, they're all you. So yeah, being able to implement those things into the program, it translated efficiently, I would say.
I was gonna say you had plenty of training.
Yeah.
Coaching kids wrestling. That's right. I like the fact that you emphasize it's you on the mat, because a lot of the times that's how it is in life. It's just you. You do have a support, but then again, it's you out there. You got to do it. You got to accomplish. You got to make the effort, and either you succeed or you don't. So coming back, what is Enlace? Does it have a special meaning?
So Enlace is a middle school youth program. We specifically work with 7th and 8th grade middle school boys, and Enlace stands for Encouraging Latino Excellence. So again, that's something that I fell in love with about Worcester, is that Latino community really coming together, celebrating our Latino-ness. And with Enlace, right, we're an inclusive program, so we have kids from all backgrounds and ethnicities from these schools. But we specifically try to target the Latino population, really trying to get these pathways into college, where I feel like the school systems, not explicitly, but they do fail some of these students, right? And we've seen it in our experiences where some of these kids are kind of just pushed through the next grade and they're not really ready. They don't have the tools to be able to move on. We hope that with our Enlace program, we're able to give them at least something for them to be able to better their education.
Well, I know because my son is in Enlace, and he does benefit to see men of color, BIPOC men, in college, enrolled in college, doing well, student athletes. It does him well, to see that and be exposed to that type of environment. Well, I did my own little research, and it was quick. It was a 2-second thing on Google of Enlace, and I love the meaning. You know what I mean? Encouraging Latin excellence. I'm sorry,
Latino excellence.
Latino excellence,
Yes.
right? So I did my own research, and the definition of Enlace is just connection.
Exactly.
Connection, a link, and I think that's beautiful that you guys really thought that out. You know what I mean? So I know we spoke about getting kids a pathway into college, but it seems like, because when I pick up my son, he's excited. He's like, "Dad, I have fun with my friends." What is the goal when working with your with the youth, and what tools would you say that Enlace gives them?
So our goals is our slogan for Enlace is boys to men to gentlemen. So our goals are pretty much to give these students, these boys, right, from the community of Worcester, the necessary tools, right, social skills, cultural enrichment. We do sports. We do various workshops. So implementing, last year we did something new, so it was like an anti-vaping or vaping awareness, I would say. Anything that would give these students a sense of understanding about a lot of stuff that, maybe, at our age we probably didn't get or we didn't take advantage of. So in school, maybe a lot of these students, right, are either homeless or going through financial hardships with their family or going through abuse or going through a numerous amount of things that don't let them focus in school. And in Enlace, right, especially in our Saturday program, we give them these workshops where we try to ease them into these topics, right? We get them to, first of all, the facilitators, we try to relate to them, right? And through us being able to relate to them, they're able to open up more. And yeah, it's an awesome thing.
I was looking through your program, right, the Saturday programs. And I saw, financial literacy on there and things like that. And I thought that was a great tool because many times, especially, in the inner city, we don't have that financial literacy.
Right.
So I just seeing the syllabus of how, the breakdown of how that goes, I thought it was amazing. I was like, they're teaching you financial literacy? That's amazing.
Yeah, so one of our workshops is Budget Sense. So for that day, we assign them pretty much like all right, you're an engineer or you're a plumber or maybe you're like a low earner, on the totem pole, you're on the low side. And we give them options based on the jobs and the earnings that they have for that year. Okay, you can pick this apartment or this mortgage or transportation, you're taking the bus or the bike or the BMW or and then at the end of their expenses, we tax them, and then they start to really see the breakdown of really, what life entails, right? Like all the expenses that they don't think about that their parents are probably paying, and yeah, it's really cool to see them like open their eyes. They're like, wow, like I had to spend all this, or wow, I don't have anything at the end of this, and that's real.
Right. No, it is. So many of us are living paycheck to paycheck, Is Enlace an evidence-based program, or was it an original idea based on a specific need seen in the community?
From what I understand, it was an original idea based on that need, right? There's not a lot of middle school programs, especially free ones at that, right? The program that we provide is free for the students. And I believe that's where it came from, seeing that need and then trying to implement that so that it's accessible to the community. Although now we do use data, qualitative and quantitative data to really understand what the needs are of the students, where we're at, how they benefit from the program from start to finish. So
That's awesome. I like the, using the data to really connect, because data does connect us. We can see a picture, and I like the fact that you guys saw a need in the community and addressed that need. What schools does Enlace partner with?
So typically we have 2 to 3 schools that we work with. This year we're working with Burncoat for the first time, and we're working with Worcester East Middle School, which I believe has been the original school that we've been working since the beginning. So right now we're working with both schools. Although if any student 7th or 8th grade is aware of our program, they're more, they're welcome to sign up, register, and be part of the program. So we have a student from Forest Grove and a student from Sullivan that also partake in the program on Saturdays.
Awesome. Are there similar programs in Worcester for young ladies? Do you know of similar programs for young ladies?
Yeah, so I believe One Circle, I think they're 6th and 7th grade, which is part of the LEI as well.
Oh, okay, awesome. No, again, because we focus on the young men, but what about our young ladies out there?
For sure.
Why are programs like Enlace? I know we're covering a lot of it, but why are programs like Enlace so important, especially in the inner city schools? Mm-hmm. Why is that such an impact? Why would that have such an impact on our young people?
I think, for one, having a sense of belonging. I think a lot of these kids, we have a lot of students, right, that vary in personalities, but we do get a lot of the kids that I would identify as maybe outcasts, right? The kids that maybe don't play sports or are on the quieter, more timid side. We have kids that, they probably don't get along with everybody or don't feel like they have a sense of belonging. So coming to this Enlace program, we see a lot of these kids that are, reserved, timid, shy, start to kind of show their personality and start to build a sense of confidence, which is an awesome thing to see. So I think there's a necessity for this program in these schools because it just adds an extra resource, right? An extra, we're an extra helping hand for the school system where, maybe they have one guidance counselor for 500 kids, and that's a heavy load for one person to handle, So we're also there, again, we're not psychologists, we're not teachers, but we are an extra resource that the schools could definitely use and benefit from.
Like I said before, I think that's an important thing for young men of color to see, other men of color in positions in positions where they're able to affect change in a positive way. Sure. I think we lack that in our community, but I think with programs like Enlace, we're slowly getting there in that mentorship and stewardship area. I know you said students can apply and register, mm-hmm. but how would a student apply or register to get into Enlace?
So the way that we register kids is we go to open school nights whenever they have the open nights. We did that at Worcester East Middle School and Burncoat. The LEI also has flyers that they send out to different places like the YMCA. So typically it's just us going to these schools and talking about the program and marketing ourselves to get these kids to register. Another way also is guidance counselors. Guidance counselors push some of the students that they think would benefit the most from and send them our way. We talk to the students, we talk to the parents, try to make that connection and get them to sign up.
So it's basically kind of like a referral type deal,
yeah.
And then, or a word of mouth type deal. I like that, that's cool. So we said Enlace gets the word out, word of mouth, referrals, guidance counselors. How can people learn outside of school and the referrals? How can people learn about Enlace?
I think it's hard unless, you're part of the Worcester community, right? Worcester State community, the LEI. We do our best to get it out there, right, through social media. I think social media is probably the best way, right, where we share the type of work that we do through the LEI Instagram account. I think that's probably the best way, through Facebook. Social media in general is probably the best way to get word of mouth of the work that we do. We do have video projects that we post to show what we do with the students. So I think that's probably the best way, right, through the projects that we do and social media.
How can the community get involved? Because as a father, right, I see this and I get excited, right, and I say I want to help. I want to put my best foot forward, especially for these young kids. As a lifelong Worcester resident, how can the community get involved, and what things can they do?
So I think the best way the community can get involved is through collaborations. So we've collaborated with the Botanic Garden at Tower Hill. So getting these kids out in nature, right, is one way. Another way is we've done a woodworking and metal workshop. I forgot the name of it, but it's downtown. Again, building these connections with members of the community that want to give back to these students, and giving them access to things that they normally wouldn't. So we've had field trips to Polar Park for free, where the kids get to see the games, right? Get to experience part of a structure that's part of the city, right? That maybe their parents wouldn't be able to take them due to transportation issues or financial issues, and having that opportunity to attend, right? So I think the best way is being able to build connections in the city with the various things that there is going on, and collaborating and opening access to the youth.
Awesome. What would be, okay, so this is going to be a two-parter, because I just want to know the specific, or if there are any specific challenges that you've seen within these young people, and what are some of the successes also, because I don't want to just a sour note, I kind of like the sweet, and give me some good and the bad, so what are some of the successes, and what are some of the challenges that you've seen?
Some of the challenges I would say is some of the challenges would be, I guess, just some of the personalities that we encounter, right? Some of these kids just don't realize the value of what we offer. The good thing is that over time, over building the relationships that we have with these students, they always come back. So maybe in the beginning, they're like, it's a Saturday, I'm here, I don't want to learn about anything, I just want to have fun, right? And the way, we market it to these kids is like, we are going to have fun, but we got to get through the work first, right? So being on campus at Worcester State, we get to experience the dining hall. So that's one thing, right? They have a variety of options to choose from, the buffet. That's one way that we market to these kids. Another way is that we get to play basketball, get to spend time outside, which is another thing that they look forward to. But I think one of the biggest challenges is the educational part, right? They're here on a Saturday, they have to wake up early, partake in more, on their day off, educational content. So I think that's the hard part, but the best part about that is over time of us establishing relationships. We have what's called a conversation circle, which is when we're all sitting in a circle, we go one by one, sharing what's our high and our low of the day, and whatever the question of the day is. And over time, through the use of that practice, we build relationships, right? The facilitators also share, like, what's the best part of my day, or what's the worst part of my week, and they get to see our struggles and our highs, right? So over time, like, that's the best part, is establishing those relationships. And even this past Saturday, I had a student reach out to me who's a sophomore at Doherty, who was in our program for 2 years. He's like, hey, can I come back? Like, I have, like, Saturdays, like I kind of don't have anything going on. I'd love to like participate and like just be like a youth like leader. And I'm like, yeah, come through. And so having previous, like an alum come back and want to partake in the program again really speaks volumes of the type of work that we do.
That was going to be one of my next questions. Have you had people that have successfully went through the program come back and give back? And I think that you hit the nail right on the head. People receive so much that they just want to give it back, and I think again that's a beautiful thing.
So we actually have so my coworker who was the previous program coordinator, he graduated from Worcester State, got his master's in clinical psychology at Assumption. He's one of my best friends. Moises Chauca was actually a middle school student at Sullivan, went to Doherty, ended up working for Enlace, and he's an Enlace alum. So he actually partook in the Enlace program, right, as an immigrant from Peru, and gained a lot of connections, gained a lot of confidence from the program, was able to get through college and give back to the program. So he's one of my coworkers. So he's another success story too, like the pipeline of being at the LEI, going to Worcester State, he got his master's and he's still, giving back to Enlace program. So it's a beautiful story.
Shout out to Moises.
Yeah.
Shout out to Moises. That's
sure.
a good brother right there. We know him. He's a good brother. Walter, I just want to thank you for your time. You've been a great guest, connecting the community with Enlace and Enlace with the community. I hope we can get the word out there and get you guys involved in the community even more.
For sure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's another episode of The Beat. I'll see you next time.